My name's Chris.
I'm Christy.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and we've just watched an elimination.
We have. It was excellent.
Ooh, exactly.
But I think Gary was disgusted a few times tonight. He pulled a face, and he wasn't excited about what was being served up. I think a few people cracked under the pressure. Namely Pete, Jess and Callan. But we'll get to them.
If you keep going with all of those, you'll be a shell of your former self.
Oh, do you think these puns are becoming a bit extraneous?
Fuck yes. Anyway, so, yeah, tonight was egg night, which was, exactly what the doctor called for. But okay, we'll stop the puns. They're fucking hot. They're really horrible. Right,
it is, and I just want to throw in an apology. Our next door neighbour's hot water broke and our dog's going a bit bonkers. Because,
You'll probably hear him. I'm assuming it's because he wants piping hot water.
He does.
That sounds very much like him. So if he makes an appearance, just enjoy it. It's a Leo cameo. Anyway, so let's start off with a recap of last night.
Do it.
So last night was the first of the food truck team challenges.
Yes, well, it was 3 teams, Marcus told? 4 teams. 4 teams. I can't count. I'm like the yellow team. having a little difficulty calculating.
Speaking of counting and calculating, what we have learned is that nobody in MasterChef this year can count. None of them can count. Yes. There was, I think it was Amanda on Twitter last night who commented, why are we going to give these teams the sales figures at the end? It's not like any of them will understand them. It was terrifying. Like, no one could count. And there were a few things. First of all, it was pointed out, I think Kira on Twitter pointed out that it was...
Donuts.
Well, apart from donuts, it was unreasonable for a start. George is talking about how difficult this challenge was and you really didn't grasp the concept of being able to cook, for this many people. And the response was, yeah, but... not often are 2 people going to be cooking for 1,000.
No.
It's not really normal that 2 would be cooking for 1,000 like that. So it was an unrealistic challenge. But it's MasterChef. Everything's unrealistic about it.
And I felt for them because, I spent a whole day when I was, a junior guide leader having to, do makeup, what's it called? Face painting for 200 girl guides on an island out in the middle of Sydney. And they all came across by ferry. And I had some, fake theatre makeup there, thinking, there might be some that want bullet wounds and stuff. No, all of them wanted bullet wounds and scars and stuff, so they all went back across with these very realistic-looking wounds.
So then what you started to do was cut the girl guides up.
Yes.
Into sections to make them go further. Well, that's what we learned last night.
Yes.
Because as much as I was a big fan of Team Green, the amount of pork they were cooking was...
not enough.
Not even remotely close enough. As Gary pointed out, rightly so, they're using domestic pressure cookers to try to cook an industrial level of...
Yeah, but can I just point out, who supplied the supplies there, Gary?
There were other ways to have cooked it. There were other cooking, other ovens, other ways to cook in the back. You could see them all. They had all the industrial stuff in the back and they were using the pressure cookers. But don't use the pressure cooker. Simple.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow. I was just too busy, working out how many grams there were in a kilogram.
Yeah, that was terrifying. And Diana at one point when she said, I know how to cook rice, I'm going to cook the rice for this. And then she's using a domestic grade pressure cooker to do the rice and then using large quantities. And this is the other thing that amazed me about this challenge. Nobody seemed to grasp the concept that when you use more of a foodstuff, the cooking time is going to change.
Yeah, well, they still smashed out the park, blue team, didn't they?
They did, but nobody seemed to understand the concept that if you add more food to something that you're cooking, chances are you're going to need more time.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of an interesting concept. So
to me too.
Of the teams,
yes.
First of all, Gaston.
Powerhouse.
Gaston trying desperately to save the day with his ability of mixing.
Guns work out there.
There was every time, we were all
carbo loaded in the morning.
We were all there for the gun show.
A piece of bread.
We were all there for the gun show.
We were.
And the gun show was on show. And look, as Kira pointed out a number of times last night and tonight, shouldn't have been in the elimination. He shouldn't have been in the elimination.
They should have just gone Gaston.
His team, unfortunately, carried him to elimination. There were moments like Mish was the captain, but when things got a little hectic, Mish sort of just vanished.
Yeah, but I don't think she's had a chance to do many leadership roles.
Yeah, but this is what they expect you to then try to do and try to step. That's the purpose of the captain.
Yeah,
is to try to make people sort of step forward. And
she did seem to be getting in the road quite a lot.
Yeah, there was a hell of a lot of getting in the way.
Or looking quite confused with just an empty cone in her hand. I'm surprised they didn't go the Canberra route for what they could serve in a cone.
Not in Victoria. So not in Victoria. So the blue team knocked it out of the park with their fare, as
chicken.
It was. Yes.
And their eaten mess, which wasn't a donut. And I'm sure that's why they won, because after the other three, the judge has gone, thank fuck it wasn't a donut.
We've got no donut.
Insta-win.
We've got no donut. Okay, you're through. Don't care what else you've done there.
That's interesting. You can skewer donuts. You can serve them in cones. Serve them in a serviette that happens to look like a paper bag.
You can apparently just pour like what was once supposed to be a jam over the top of them and have them fall apart and just call them sad. Really,
that were glazed and confused.
The second those donuts appeared, that was just
gone.
They were in elimination.
What they should have done is make some emperor's balls.
Team Green. Now, Team Green, the reason why they sold the most is simple. It's called Tamara. And Tamara's infectious sort of smile and bubbly personality is wonderful and brilliant. And we've talked about the fact that she's positive about everything and it's wonderful and brilliant. I'm not going to lie, because she's been so exposed in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
You've been overexposed to Tamara.
It's grated a little bit. Not her. I don't dislike her at all. But there's so much Tamara that it's sort of grated a little bit. But last night...
the editors really haven't balanced out their exposure
but last night was perfect because that's her domain.
Oh, yeah.
Selling to those people. And watching Sarah being stressed, but in her element completely.
Oh, yeah.
Was a thing of beauty. And so Team Green deserved to go through on the basis of that alone, the fact that they sort of had the right model.
And who did they have with them? They had... who am I thinking of? I can't remember.
No, it was Sarah. It was Eloise.
Yeah.
It was Aram.
Oh, Aram, and
of course Tamara as captain.
Okay, great.
So that was Green Team, and there was a good mix of people. Look, everyone sort of had their role. Yeah, they underdid their pork in terms of the numbers, but
no, it was delicious.
It looked amazing. It looked good. The donuts seemed pretty good, and Tamara managed, even though they did lose people in the line, Tamara managed to do something that everyone else sort of couldn't do once they ran out of their savoury, which was she kept people still buying.
Yeah,
and that's what got them the money, and that's what got them the challenge.
Absolutely. And if your ambition in the future is to run a food truck or something, that's what you need to do. Is like you're going to sell out of dishes. You don't go down there preparing infinity tacos.
And isn't it somewhat sad and typical of MasterChef too that the food truck challenge, the first one of those, happens the day after Trent is eliminated?
It was. I just don't get used to not seeing him on screen.
I know, you just assumed he was there still. He was still in the challenge. Yeah, I naturally assume that Trent's always there. I like the idea at the end of the grand finale, it'll be like, and the winner is, and they name whoever it is, and Trent's in the background going, I'm still here!
This is Bubble Horse.
So that was that challenge, which took us into tonight. Now, we got all the egg puns out of the way early, thankfully. So did Twitter.
Yes.
Channel 10 was stealing all my best gifts too, because they got the rights to The Simpsons. You better run egg, which I was saving for the episode. Channel 10 burst out in the first 30 seconds.
Damn it!
I was so crushed. All my egg gifts,
where do you go to from there? Big egg?
Big eggs, yeah.
Yeah.
I went the other way, and I went with the one about so the people from the Egg Corporation have got to you too, which I then tweeted back to Channel 10 about the fact they were using my gifts. They didn't apparently appreciate that. So anyway, let's go into it. So you got 6 eggs. That had to be 3 rounds.
Half a dozen.
Now, the strategy. Do you do something like what Jess did and decide to go big early and hope that you can do enough in that first challenge, or do you use them sparingly and just go for flavour? Now, I didn't necessarily hate Jess's idea.
No, everyone likes a Scotch egg.
But it's about execution.
You mean execution?
No, I meant execution.
Okay.
And no. I was right. And I also thought that the idea of 3 eggs for a Scotch egg.
Oh, that was too much. That's going too hard too soon.
You could have done 2 and a different sauce.
Yeah. Or just gave up completely. After the first one fucked it, you've gone, okay, I need a plan B that's only going to use one egg.
We'll come to the person who kept on screwing their eggs up because, hey Pete, how you going? So we'll come back to that. Let's talk about my friend. Let's talk about your friend. Let's talk about the friend of the people. And far more importantly, someone who can possibly get me a recipe for speculoos. Gaston.
Wow.
His food dream. We finally found out what his food dream is, and it involves Dutch food.
Oh, wow.
And that made me sing with joy.
Indeed. In Dutch?
Well, I sung some Anouk songs, so it's about as close as I get to singing in Dutch.
Yeah.
Dutch potato salad with the air, and it looked so good. And it looked amazing, and it's almost as good as speculoos. No. Gaston, he knocked it out of the park, and again, we said, shouldn't have been in the challenge in the first place.
No, his plating was bang on.
His plating was amazing. The way he even sold the potato salad. Yeah. Those potatoes are very fluffy. And I've got all the elements on there, and the crispiness and the crunchiness and the flavour and the texture and the egg. And again, the egg runs off and just sits perfectly for him in the middle, like he meant to do it. It looked like it was like stepping stones on the plate. It was gorgeous. I legitimately, not just because,
you're blowing smoke up the arse to get some...
Not just because of that.
Speculoos.
Not just because of that. Legitimately, it looked really delicious, and it was the one in that first round I really wanted to eat. Mm-hmm. Pete. Now, poor Pete.
Oh dear.
First of all, Pete ruined more eggs than anybody else, and still had eggs left over. He broke his first one in the first challenge.
Oops. I jumped.
And then in the last challenge, which we'll get to, he had 3 eggs left, and he used all 3 of them to make a fried egg. Come back to that in a minute. So he makes this dish basically involving Kaiserfleisch. Now again, I've not seen this much anywhere until this series of MasterChef.
I haven't seen this much Kaiserfleisch since I last
since
saw...
that 1917 Polaroid photo that nobody talks about. And then Michelle with her mi goreng, which is a clever idea.
Yeah.
I have to give it... look...
Well, look at the dishes that got through. You had Carly's Caesar salad.
It was we'll talk about for round 1. It was Gaston, Mish, and Nicole.
That's right. That came through. Yes.
No, Nicole was simple, but it was good. And again, Michelle, simple, good.
Yeah.
Gaston was something he was passionate about.
Yeah.
Everyone else just sort of made something involving an egg, and just sort of like Pete. We'll come back to Pete at the very end. But Pete's most successful dish was not something you would call like a gourmet dish. It wasn't Grant Spatchcock quality.
It was gourmet.
It was gourmet, exactly.
Yes.
It wasn't Grant Spatchcock quality.
There was no Jews on it.
It wasn't drizzled in Jews. But it was something he was passionate about. And they said that when they were judging it. This is something he cooks. This is something he loves.
He cooks well.
Michelle's mi goreng. It's a really obvious idea.
Absolutely. Do a noodle dish.
1 egg.
Whack an egg on it.
1 egg. Got away with it.
Yeah.
There were eggs left over.
Nice.
I would have liked the idea you could have bartered for other people's leftover eggs. Like, you need to come up with a way to do it, but you can barter for their eggs. Yeah. Matt also had one of the weirdest lines of the series when he turned around and he made the comment of, an egg without salt is like a Tirana without fluffy dice. At which point, the family of Peter Brock went, well, I don't remember him winning Bathurst with a fluffy dice off the dash.
Hold on here, Matt, because I've just got to say, as a chick who grew up in a family with a Tirana that was called Blue Thunder, after the Yellow Monaro we had called Yellow Lightning.
Hang on.
Yes?
I learn something new about you every podcast.
Well, this is getting to know you, getting to know my crazy family. So we had this awesome Tirana that Dad used to cut the rust out of, and he'd patch it up but not paint it. So
with the red bits?
No, it was blue, right?
Yeah.
The car was blue. but it got progressively more grey with the putty over time. And what he did, I don't know why, but he'd get like spray paint and put like hashtags through it. Like it's just so it was this terrific bomb that we had well into the early 90s. It was just spectacular.
So back to Matt.
Yeah.
Did you indeed have fluffy dice?
There was no fluffy dice, Matt. Sit back down, go back to England. No fluffy dice for Tatrana.
Okay, so
clarifying.
No fluffy dice. So you can apparently have a Tirana without fluffy dice, which means that technically you can have eggs without seasoning. So yeah, back at you, Preston.
Yeah.
So I made a prediction that it would be Nicole would not be safe because she was one of the parade of other dishes.
And
Turns out she was safe. Well done.
Yeah, she went back in time with the doctor, made herself safe. Now Nicole is a bit of a dark horse.
We haven't seen a lot of her, and that's usually an interesting sign early on in the competition.
But I do want to make a big call here. Now, tonight with that potato salad, Gaston's kind of pulling a bit of an Elena. Remember that time she just went into
the moment where it kicked in? Yeah.
Yeah, and she just revved it up a notch. She's just... I don't want to...
And also she did have the traditional sort of family recipe start to come out too at this point in time. Same thing, we finally found out that Gaston's Dutch.
I know.
Who knew? Not me, that's for sure. I thought that he grew up in a mythical kingdom just outside a big castle.
Yeah, somewhere in France.
Exactly, and I was
Lower Burgundy.
No, I was sure he was chasing around this French girl called Belle.
Yeah, I think they're engaged or married, and he's got children to her now.
Yes, exactly. Everything worked out very well.
Yes, for this particular Gaston.
And they both follow us. Thank you. Anyway, so round 2.
Yes.
So we're down with the eggs a little bit. Jess decides to do an eaten mess. Yeah.
No, a Jess mess.
A Jess mess.
It totally was a Jess mess.
It really... Look, and we'll come back to that in a moment because I do want to talk about her after this round. Mm-hmm. Pete decides to do confit salmon.
Yep, that's not an egg.
Yeah, again, feature the egg, get yourself out of trouble, man. Carly does the chorizo Caesar with broken egg, which ended up working for her quite well.
Well, she poached it and the poached split, so she boiled it.
And, you mentioned on Twitter, chorizo.
Yeah.
You had me at chorizo.
Dinner winner.
You can, whatever you want to do, just put chorizo through it, I'll eat it. I really will. It may be the only way to convince me that kale is good enough to be eaten.
Wrap it in chorizo.
It may be the only way you can convince me that kale exists.
I might actually experiment with this.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Quinoa, kale and chorizo.
Yeah, all I heard was chorizo. Anyway, Samuel made a...
Niçoise salad.
A Niçoise salad.
I wasn't sure if the Niçoise flavours would work. I have to tell you, Samuel, I've had a Niçoise salad before with the salmon. It works.
And of course, his egg use was...
Emulsion?
It was indeed. It was emotion taking him over. No.
I've got me making emotion.
I remember the Bee Gees version personally.
More Mariah Carey.
So, yeah, Mariah Carey's a bit over the top for a Niçoise. Anyway, and then Callan baked custard. Now, Callan.
Baked failure, really?
Callan. A baked custard in not enough time to make a baked custard.
Yep.
What are you thinking, dude?
I think his mind's too busy formulating granitas.
Let's talk about granitas, shall we?
Yes.
Because Callan began the contest as this guy with this reputation, this kid with a reputation of being, a dessert wunderkind with amazing, incredible ideas.
Yeah.
And all we seem to have had from him for the last few weeks is the granita.
Do you think we're going to find out his food dream is to open a granita bar?
Probably.
A food with granita. Everything served with granita.
A granita truck.
You go and get just bread to have next to your food.
Granita. So
bread granita.
He keeps going back to granita. He just keeps going back to granita over and over and over again. And
Do you think he really likes slushies? Like, is he a mega fan of slushies? Has he got like he's missing being able to do the $1 frozen Coke down at Macca's, so he's just desperately trying to recreate
his own granitas. So
it is chutney.
so Samuel was clearly safe after this. Mm-hmm. Callan, Callan. I'm concerned about Callan because he seems to be sort of going backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
However, Jess.
Oh dear.
Now, I commented on it when we were watching it, didn't comment on the podcast, but I commented on the last episode and the one before that. Jess had looked really angry all week.
Like, who the hell is pissing her off?
Like, she had looked really genuinely angry. And all of her flavours were, like, not close to being right all the way through this week. She looked really angry. She was not focused. She'd used 2 eggs in this challenge.
And her space was, I just need to keep out of the bottom 3. Hits the bottom 3.
When they commented to her about, you know, the Jess mess and the fact that there was too much of the too much of the meringue, there was too much of this, and the flavours weren't right. She had a look of thunder on her face, and she spoke to them a bit like when I see a student who's, you know, doesn't really want to listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Right? She had that look on her face, and just sort of wasn't dismissing them. It was like, I don't need to hear this. And she was really angry. But
do you think that could come from a place of, I know exactly what you're saying? Like when...
Oh, she was probably just pissed off at herself. But it was just... It sort of tied into her mood in the last few episodes. And going into the last one, I thought she was in deep trouble.
Well, she's going in with what, 1 egg?
1 egg. I did want to see what happened if she broke that. I did suggest...
Well, we did get to see what happened when she broke it.
But I did suggest, like, if she dropped it on the floor, I did suggest we just end up with toast with shell.
I'm going really, really crazy.
Toast with shell. We're going to work out how to eat the shell. It'll be all good. So...
Like, she could have done a cuttlefish, you know, like the shell grit for budgies.
Cage.
No, it's not
she
fit
serves it in a
human.
cage.
Yeah, not fit for human.
But if you've got a pet bird... You've got a pet bird. I've got the food for you.
Shit, yeah.
Now let's go to round 3. Now,
round 3.
Now, Pete. We'll start with Pete. Pete had 3 eggs up his sleeve.
Pete, repeat. He did. He repeated the same process twice before working out this is shit.
You know, Pete, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again
and expecting a different result.
And so his steak, egg and chips, which I've never seen the judges give anyone a look like that.
He basically told a Devondale truck just to back up and whack all the butter from the factory into a pan.
So they poured all the butter into the pan and then he put an egg in it and the egg was swimming in the butter. And funnily enough, that didn't work. So then Pete goes, I'm going to do another one. And did the same thing again.
No, he poured out a bit of the butter.
Yeah, but it ended up doing the same thing. It was swimming in it. Now, Pete, you talk about the fact that this is your sort of food. Steak, egg, chips, all of those sort of things. How the fuck can you not do a fried egg, buddy?
No, I think he was trying to fancy it up, Darls.
Don't fancy it up. Just make me a fried egg.
Yeah, I know.
Because the key to Pete's dish was... I suspect he looked around the kitchen. He saw that Callan was all over the place. He saw that Jess had no idea what she was doing and just went, you know what, if I serve something that's edible, I'm in.
Yep.
All he had to do was present something edible and wait for one of the other 2 to fall over. And
which they were quite happy to do. I could see them pushing him out of the way to take a double bullet.
And that leads us to Callan.
Oh, Callan.
Okay, flavour profile. We've talked about flavour profiles a lot this series. Callan with 2 eggs.
Yeah.
Lamb tartare with popcorn and a passion fruit fucking granita.
No, it was just a raspberry one, wasn't it?
There was passion fruit involved.
Oh, fuck me.
There was passion fruit involved.
Oh.
So passion fruit, raspberry, granita, popcorn, lamb tartare. What are you doing, man? It's
cool. It's cool to mix things up occasionally, right? I like a bit of mind-blowing, like, oh, look, we're using some savoury stuff to make something sweet, like to make a dessert, and, you know, that's quite nice. But shit, mate, when you can't even tell whether it's a main, a dessert, an entree, or a fucking snack at the movies, you're going a little nuts. Like, now, that's the kind of shit you'd expect at fucking gold class cinema.
What I'm worried about, I'm genuinely worried for Callan, because I think that if Callan serves another granita in the next week, he's possibly gone.
He might have gone a little mad in the MasterChef house.
And again, we talked about this last episode in terms of the yelling off the gantry and giving instructions to the celebrity chefs, you know, and telling them how to cook. There's a bit of
a spatula.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. There's a bit of the stir.
The water comes from the tap.
There's a bit of this stir crazy element going on in the kitchen at the moment, where everyone is so focused, that they can't see sort of outside of themselves. And I think Callan has got to the point now where he's just consistently making granita because he's comfortable with it. But we know at this point in the competition they start arguing about people and growth, and we haven't seen any growth. And said Callan's going the other way, and he needs to snap out of this fast, because if he can't snap out of this fast, he won't get a chance.
No, he'll be out on his granita behind, just, making snow cones down at your local
I was on
fair.
MasterChef once. Who wants a snow cone?
Yes.
So, MasterChef
I'll
quality
have a raspberry. I'm sorry, I've only got tartare flavoured.
I've only got popcorn. So Jess has one egg. Now... Now, the first challenge, she decided to do the Scotch egg, and she didn't heat the...
Because that didn't work. You know what's a good time to do a Scotch egg?
The final?
This didn't work. Let's do it again.
Now we've seen this in other cooking shows.
Yeah.
Bake Off in the UK. We saw that Jane tried to do the collar around the outside of her cake, and it
what
failed.
happened there? She's gone, I couldn't do a chocolate collar before. Guess what? Still can't do a chocolate collar.
So it failed 3 weeks out from the grand final in the UK. She got to the grand final in the UK, and she goes, I'm going to do it again. And it failed a second time. So trying something that's failed once, just abandon for now. Don't try to go, no, I can do this. Just let it go. Don't worry about coming back to it.
Just Elsa that shit. Close the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let the cold bother you anyway.
Exactly. So Jess...
Do you want to build a snowman?
It's a granita snowman. Callan was doing that over the other side of the... Anyway.
Do you want to make granita? Come on, let's go and play. I'll flavour it with passion fruit and raspberries today.
Anyway, so Jess decides she's going to have another go at the Scotch egg, basically, the crumbed egg this time. Now, the first time the problem was that she didn't bother to heat up the oil, put the egg in, and then just went, you know what, I'm going to put it on for a little bit longer and just let it sit in that oil. I would have taken that thing straight out of the oil and let the oil heat up and then put it back in.
Yeah.
Jess goes, no, we'll just let it go. We'll see what happens.
Let it go. The wrong time to let it go, Jess.
So she decided to do the crumbed egg with a Namjim sauce, and I also noticed there's something that I've picked up from watching a lot of these cooking shows that is a sign for me that someone's in trouble.
What's that?
It's the number of the blue Band-Aids on their hands.
And there was a lot
because
of
the blue Band-Aids are what they give you once you cut yourself, because it's like a second skin and instantly heals up the wound. So every time you cut yourself, you get a blue Band-Aid. She had at least 3 on one hand.
No, I thought the blue Band-Aid is... So it's just like your normal Band-Aid, but it's blue because then if it falls off into food, you're going to find it easier.
That's the other reason. But she had at least 3 on one hand at one point. And then she's cutting up and like, there's 3 Band-Aids, and I'm like... She is so far out of it. All she's done all episode, in an episode where she's cooking with eggs, is cut her hand open.
Now, you know what I would have done in Jess's position?
What would you have done?
I've overboiled my eggs. Fuck, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a leaf out of every old woman's book. Deviled eggs, bitches. Just get that shit, mash it up with some curry powder, pop it on some fancy toast. Like, just go get some brioche or something. Make a tortilla or something. And make it like a fancy deviled egg.
Make a breakfast burrito.
That's what you do with overboiled fucking eggs.
I would have made a breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
I would have gone out and got some chorizo. I would have gone out and probably got some halloumi too, and just combine all that in a wrap and go on, you tell me that chorizo and halloumi don't carry this egg.
Like a Mexican deviled egg. Like a,
How was that? Hang on.
El Diablo egg.
Hang on, you want to say that one again for me?
Mexican.
Thank you for that. I greatly appreciate it. So, a Mexican egg, apparently, is what she was doing. And no, what Jess was actually doing was saying something to... I have to go back to it. I mentioned it in the last episode. When you say, I go back to check on...
Dun, dun, dun. That's what MasterChef's string section should do.
Things are going badly when you go, I go back to check on that... Normally it's I go back to check on the rice. This time it was I go back to check on the egg. Now if you are boiling an egg or frying an egg in oil like that and you need the centre runny, going back to check on it is bad because it means you haven't been paying the slightest bit of attention to it while it's been cooking.
Whereas Pete, when he came down his final egg, he watched that thing like a fucking hawk.
Yeah.
He was like a mama hawk watching his baby hawk fry.
So Pete...
He's like a mama hawk.
So Pete cooked safely and got through.
Yes.
Callan's flavours were insane and crazy, and I don't think in a good way.
But at least he smoked an egg well.
But that was the point. As I said, it was an egg challenge, and the egg was actually the thing that Callan did well.
Yes.
Everything else was a bit... The egg was the one thing that Callan...
Like, the only time popcorn's good is, honestly, when you're at the movies or you got a hankering for a bit of lollygobble bliss bomb. Like... They're the only real two. And, you know, when you're at a kid's party and they put out the disappointingly multicoloured popcorn.
I like the disappointingly multicoloured popcorn.
That's all fucking yours. I'll have the Lord.
I love that coloured. Yeah.
The only thing that's good for is stringing up for decoration.
No, it's great for eating a sugar rush. Anyway, so Pete just decided I'll play it safe and everyone else will screw up, and they did. Callan managed to... Again, but Pete did screw 2 eggs out of his 3. Callan managed to mess up all of his flavours, but do the egg pretty well. Jess, twice now in this episode, had an egg that when they went to cut it, bounced back. That was like the first time she did the egg when they went, now, is this going to be runny? And they put the knife in it. And they actually had to, like, lean on the egg a little bit to cut through it. And it was bouncing back. And when they got to this one here in the end, and they're judging it at the end, and they put the knife on the egg, and they're like, let's hope this one's runny. And they've pushed, and the knife, like, bounced back up.
Which is why El Diablo that egg, you sorted.
And the second the knife bounced back up, Jess's hopes and dreams of staying in the competition were out. Now, the good news for Jess was she's put up so many good dishes that, unlike Trent last episode, they had things they could talk about.
Like, honestly, at first I really thought Jess was a contender. Like, even her plating, okay, so her first
early
dish...
on she was.
Her first dish tonight, like, the egg was shit, but look at that plating. It looked appetising, so...
Early on she was a contender, but, the last week has just been bad. It was kind of like it was one of the worst weeks I've seen for any contestant. It's not because she can't cook. It was just a really bad week.
I do want to point out, right? Like, Carly comes across as like fun and zany and cool, but if you look in that one of the last shots when they're clapping Jess walking away, Carly's leaning against one of the beams. What are they called?
Beams.
The pillars, clapping and looking. And I'm like, is that a look of, my curse has worked?
Hang on, you think she's taking contestants out?
I think she might be. I think she's put a Granita obsession spell on Callan. I think she might have, like...
Hang on. So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You think that Carly is having food hits, put on other contestants?
Yeah, see, what Jess needs to do with one of those eggs, and I saw it on Orange is the New Black, is do some brouhaha work where they get the egg and they rub it all over the body to take up the bad juju, and then I think she cracked it or something to get rid of it. So I think that's how she should have started. In fact, why didn't they all get rid of their bad juju at the front? I mean, Gaston didn't need to. He was just like, bitches, I got this.
Gaston was just going to outcook everybody.
And he did. But anyone else who wasn't feeling it, just a little egg around. Saw it on Orange is the New Black. That seems pretty legit.
See, for me, if I was bombing, if I'd only used like 1 egg in the first challenge and 1 in the second, and I was screwing up the second challenge, I would have worked out how many eggs I wanted for my last challenge and then just started throwing them at people. So, like, I would have got to, like, I've used 2 eggs, I'm going to use 2 eggs in the last. That gives me 2 eggs to hit other people. And if I scone somebody, I might be able to throw them off a little bit. You know, or maybe, just maybe, I lob an egg up and it lands in whatever they're cooking.
Yeah.
And like their shell and broken raw egg, and they can't eat this dish, it's disgusting.
Take this in your Niswa, Samuel!
Exactly, yeah, that Niswa looks pretty lovely, doesn't it? Throw an egg at it.
Me garang or me garong!
So yeah, I would have just been this vengeful person with eggs. In fact, what I would have done, I would have worked out a perfect dish for the final with 1 egg, and at the start of the first challenge, I've got 4. No, I've got 5, and I want to just start pinging eggs at people. Just George, 1, 2, 3. Just George.
Speaking of which, who was it? Was it Nicole who served up the egg that looks like George?
And George, when he said, I'm going to start calling you Pretty Pete. And meanwhile, it was perfectly obvious George had shaved for the occasion.
Indeed.
So George...
I think he manscaped.
He did do some manscaping.
On his face.
So...
Is that what it means, or does it mean, like, down there too?
Let's just
stick to the head.
Let's just stick to the head. The face. Head.
The face.
Anyway, moving on.
Up top.
Moving on. No one needs to think about that. So... Yeah, that was kind of the episode, and it was an interesting sort of run. I thought that the food truck challenge was pretty good. I thought that the egg elimination challenge was interesting. I liked the concept. I liked the fact that they went with something basic and then went, but you've only got 6.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them come up with other challenges where they limit what the contestants can use, mainly because there are things that are being overused. Maybe Callan needs to be in a challenge where Granita is banned.
There will be no Granita!
Or you can have 1 Granita, but you've got 3 rounds, so pick carefully where you put it.
You must do a Granita, but it must be in the first round and not after.
But, again, for me, the winner of the night was Gaston.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not biased.
And as a result, the audience won.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when Gaston wins...
We all win.
We all win. And with that... We're going to let you go right there. So, my name's Chris.
I'm Christy.
We will see you again on Sunday night where celebrity chef
Oman
Yetin
Slarty Bartflast
Offahangawi.
But he does really good Middle Eastern food.
So, Yitzhak Rabin, that's the former Israeli Prime Minister.
Come on. Now we're getting into a little bit of Mino Reiki territory.
No, Mino Reiki. There's not a chance. I'm going to call him Yehudi Menuhin until further notice. So when world-renowned violinist Yehudi Menuhin cooks for everybody for a week, it's not his name. I'm too lazy to work out how to pronounce it tonight. But I'll have it sorted out by Sunday, and we'll catch you then.
Ciao.